Testing 1 2 1 2.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the October 9th, 2024 meeting of the West Virginia Board of Education. We pledge allegiance led by Dr. Snavely. First thing is the introductions. If we start with Dr.
Good morning, Daniel Snavely, Putnam County.
Morning, Deborah Sullivan, Kanawha County.
Good morning, Bob Dunleavy, Ohio County.
Paul Hardesty, Logan County.
And Chris Stansberry, Kanawha County.
And I am Nancy White, Harris. If you would introduce.
Good morning, Deputy White. You want to begin?
Tanya White, Deputy Superintendent.
Moore, Office of Communications.
Michael Whitlow, School Facilities.
Alexandra Kreiner, Accountability.
Christy Day, Communications.
Dave Cartwright, Infrastructure Network Operations.
Tina Payne, Secretary to the Board.
Ellie Talbot, General Counsel.
Thank you all. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the. Is there a motion to approve? Been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Hardesty, seconded by Dr. Snavely. Is there any discussion? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We will be pivoting the agenda a little bit in regard to the First Lady's arrival. So once she arrives, we'll just interrupt wherever we are. So the next item then on the agenda is the consent agenda. Wait a minute. Sorry. Delegations, this day.
Good
It
morning,
was all.
President White, Vice President Gabriel, members of the board, Superintendent. We do have 3 delegations this morning. The first is Tara Ramo. She's a citizen, and her topic is truth.
Thank you. The book of John, chapter 3, verses 3 through 8 and 13 through 21, circa AD 80 to 95. Jesus answered him, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God." Nicodemus said to him, "How can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter a second time into his mother's womb and be born?" Jesus answered, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born of water and the Spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of God. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Do not marvel that I said to you, you must be born again. The wind blows where it wishes, and you hear its sound, but you do not know where it comes from or where it goes. So it is with everyone who is born of the Spirit. No one has ascended into heaven except he who descended from heaven, the Son of Man. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whoever believes in him may have eternal life. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. Whoever believes in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only Son of God. And this is the judgment. The light has come into the world, and people loved the darkness rather than the light, because their works were evil. For everyone who does wicked things hates the light and does not come to the light, lest his works should be exposed. But whoever does what is true comes to the light, so that it may be clearly seen that his works have been carried out in God. Lord Jesus, thank you for suffering on our behalf, that you lovingly gave your life so we could gain ours. Empower us to love you and live for you. Please minister to the needs of this board and the children they serve. Amen. So be it.
Our next delegation is Mickey Blackwell with West Virginia Principals Association.
I thought Dave turned me off. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Mickey Blackwell, the executive director of the largest association of principals here in the state of West Virginia. I would like to first a couple of announcements. My home university, West Virginia State University, is having homecoming this week, and I invite anyone who hasn't been to campus to come by. You can go to wvstateu.edu and see the lineup of events. And if you're there, I'll buy you a hot dog. Some of you I'll buy two. So I want to wish everybody the best. We are finishing up our 8 weeks. Our master's program and our doc program run on 8-week courses, and they are finishing up this week, and we start our second 8 weeks next time. And if you would like to discuss either of those programs with me, I'll be here afterwards. I would also like to announce that October, while is Domestic Violence Prevention Month, Suicide Prevention Month, is also Principals Month. And if you haven't visited a school, as I asked you to last month, take the time in October, call ahead, and let someone know that you'd like to stop by and ask if this is a good day to be able to come by and say hello and thank them for the job they've done. And if you can't do that, find some email addresses and just thank the principals for the job they're doing. As what we've seen across the street, we see that they get more duties and more duties and more duties, and they have less support than they have before. I was at a couple of counties this week. We had one county that's lost 57 students, and they've cut 3 assistant principals, and that's a tough thing. 2 have lost students, 1 hasn't, and the one that hasn't still hasn't had a vice principal replaced. And as you guys know, I'm a firm believer, advocate for a full-time principal and a full-time counselor in every school. As we are pushing safety and safety issues, as we are focusing on mental care for our students and our staff, we must have trained people in those positions full-time to be able to handle any situation that comes up when it does. And if we can push this as policy here, if we can take it across the street and bring it up, it would be very, very important for us to do so. So honor your principals. I would also like to announce that our annual leadership conference, the West Virginia Principals Association Conference, is December 8th through the 10th at the Greenbrier in White Sulphur Springs. We've been very lucky that our guests that are coming a little later have been at our conference every year. The governor was there before he was the governor even, and he was there once in the parade of Santa Claus and then come over and said hello. So we've had a great relationship, and we'll be celebrating them. Mr. Albert's not here today, so let me take his time. For just a moment, just let me say this. As I've said before, principals have more duties than they've ever had before. And we just went through interims where they spent a lot of money. Mr. Pack said that we could lose $20 million out of the budget and we'd be fine. If they take that $20 million and put it into schools, put it into administrators, put it into counselors, we would be serving the children of West Virginia who are going to grow up to be our future taxpayers. So please, let's all get together. We know January's coming. And let's start making plans now to be as supportive of our principals, be as supportive of each other, and support our legislatures to help them see what our schools need. Thank you very much, and thank you for the extra time.
Our final delegation is Dale Lee with WVEA. His topic is Trouble Ahead.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent, Madam President, Vice President, members of the board. I really wanted to put on there that I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and unfortunately it's a train, but that was too long for her to read, because that is true. I do see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it is a train coming at us. It is a train because I'm anxious to get the second month report. Last year, we had 1,705 positions without a certified teacher in them. Yesterday, the PEI Finance Board announced that because of some actions of the legislature in Senate Bill 268, there was a big hole in the budget. The legislature put $87 million in to fill the hole for this year, make the reserve back up to 10%. But the next year's hole is going to be borne by the state and largely by the employees. We're going to see premiums go up by 14%, and we're going to see out-of-pocket costs and deductibles go up by about 40%. Folks, we can't sustain this. We can't do this. We have a shortage in teachers, aides, bus drivers, cooks, custodians, you name it. We have those shortages. We don't have enough counselors to go around. We don't have enough social workers in our schools. Mickey just said we don't have enough principals and assistant principals and everything else. That's going to be expounded with the things that are coming up. And yet the legislature will say, well, we've given you raises in 4 of the last 5 years. Yes, you have. And we dropped to 50th in the nation in pay. When people can drive 20 to 30 minutes across the state border to get anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 more, and now you're adding to them increased insurance costs, what do you think those numbers are going to be for this year, and worse yet, for next year? Because people are going to leave. Our kids deserve the highest quality educator in front of them that we can provide. Our kids deserve an opportunity to look at their mental and emotional health and well-being. Our kids deserve the opportunity to handle the discipline in the early years and take care of that. I want to thank you all for continuing this fight with us. It's going to take all of us together to make a difference. I take great pride in the fact that Superintendent Blatt and I made a pact many years ago that we're always going to put kids first. That's what I see you doing as the board. That's what we'll do. And let's join together and try to figure this thing out. And hopefully we can convince the legislature that the funding needs to go into our schools and, importantly, into our kids. Thank you.
There are no other delegations.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. We approve is made by Mr. Dunleavy. Is there a second? Dr. Stansberry. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It's so weird, I gotta turn the page. That takes us to new business. Item A, the statewide waiver of policy 6204, school closings or consolidations, section 3.4. Mr. Whitlow.
Good morning, President White, Superintendent Blatt, members of the board. A statewide waiver of policy 6204, section 3.4 is being requested to allow counties to complete the procedures for the closing of a school before February 28th. Previously, the deadline was December 31st. This kind of just allows counties more time to look at data and complete the books that are required and follow all the procedures. The extension doesn't remove the requirement to follow the statutory requirements, and that February 28th deadline still allows that time. Are there any questions?
Mrs. Sullivan.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Whitlow.
Morning.
Always good to see you. I guess the most heartbreaking things we deal with here at the board deal with the school closures and
Absolutely.
consolidations. And I'm frankly not surprised to see a request to change the date to give the counties more time. But the driving factor seems to be enrollment.
Yes, ma'am.
And, it continues, you look in the news, I think Kanawha County's looking at 5 schools right now,
Actually, 6.
6 schools right now. Across the state, there's, and it's no surprise to anybody that I like smaller schools. And I think it's unfortunate that we've been going down this consolidation route for so many years. But I watch pretty closely the West Virginia Center on Budget and Policy, and they give a lot of information, good information, factual information about our schools. And I was interested to look and learn that they see that 53 of our counties, 53 out of 55, experienced enrollment loss between 22-23 and 23-24. And of course, that affects state funding, correct?
Yes.
And in 8 of those counties, in 8 of the 53, the number of students newly receiving, not already receiving, Hope scholarships exceeded the enrollment decline, meaning that if we didn't have this voucher program, the county would not be having a negative enrollment. I thought that was fascinating. Yeah. And the percentage of enrollment decline, this is again from the Budget and Policy Group, the percentage of enrollment decline attributable to the Hope Scholarship statewide was 52%. 52%. Which is, this is a fact that we need to have on our radar. And it ranged from 0.4% in a place like Tyler County to 97% in Cabell and more than 100% in 8 counties. I find that alarming and eye-opening. And so our schools are having to do more with less because they still have to put teachers in front of 18 kids or 25, and they still have to pay the lights. And so I guess the question, and Mr. Whitlow, I recognize that this is not your, I realize what you do is excellent work, and I appreciate that. But I'm just wondering what the department and the state board are doing to help stop the bleed so that we don't have these continuing school closures and consolidations. I know it's not your question, but
it might be bigger than me.
You're up there. So I don't know. I don't know what we can be doing, but I'd like to think that we'd be doing something.
Good.
Again, thank you as always for your good work.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Is there a motion to approve a statewide waiver of policy 6204, section 3.4 to allow counties additional time to complete school closure procedures while still meeting statutory requirements?
So moved. Oh.
Moved by Dr. Stansberry, second by Ms. Sullivan. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Whitlow. Next item on the agenda is the annual County Board of Education Accountability Report. Ms. Kreiner.
Good morning, President White, Vice President Gabriel, Superintendent Blatt, members of the board. This morning, I submit for your approval the 2024 County Approval Status and Accreditation Report. The data included in this report is designed to assist the board in issuing an annual approval status for each County Board of Education as required in West Virginia Code 18-2E5 and West Virginia Policy Board of Education Policy 2322. Next slide. County approval status is comprised of two different measures of accountability: operational effectiveness and student performance and success. We're charged as a state with providing a thorough and efficient education to our West Virginia children, and these two data sets provide county level information with regard to those two standards: thoroughness and efficiency. The county operational effectiveness indicators of efficiency represent the efficient operation of the County Board of Education and are highly connected to the use of local resources to achieve compliance with state code and West Virginia Board of Education policy. In short, the county operational effectiveness indicators report the performance of the adults at the county level. They are connected with the leadership and the structures that are established at that local level to use their resources wisely to ensure compliance. Each of these 11 indicators receives ongoing support from a corresponding WVDE office. These offices annually provide a rating of either needs assistance or meets requirements for each of these indicators. And it is the expectation that improvement can be made to correct any of the identified deficiencies within 1 year. Counties identified as needs assistance for multiple consecutive years may be recommended for further intervention on the part of this board. On the other side, we have the balanced scorecard indicators of student performance and success. These indicators represent the thorough aspect of our responsibility. They reflect student outcomes based on multiple measures and are reported in 4 stages. Indicators that do not meet the standard for 1 year are designated on watch. If any indicator does not meet the standard and does not improve for 2 consecutive years, it is reported as support. If an indicator does not meet standard and does not make improvement for 3 consecutive years, the county is designated intensive support for that indicator. Additional intervention or possible non-approval status is possible based on county willingness and capacity to implement improvements and to make changes to support students. The first chart that I'm going to show you today is a summary of the county operational effectiveness designations that we have. The good news is that we had 21 counties who met the requirements in all 11 indicators. We have 3 who need assistance with universal pre-K readiness, 3 districts rated needs assistance for career technical education, 2 needs assistance for County Board of Education member effectiveness, 8 districts designated needs assistance for finance, 5 for ESEA programs, that's federal programs. We have 21 for special education based on their required cyclical monitoring data. And then we have 15 designated needs assistance for personnel. I'd like to make a note on that personnel indicator that as it stands today, those numbers are pulled directly from WEVIS, and they are a reflection of the number of teachers who are registered to a core course, math, science, language arts, social studies, those core courses who are certified in that area. It is highly dependent upon accurate data entry. And so just because we have a county currently identified as needs assistance for personnel, that does not necessarily reflect that they have uncertified teachers in those positions. It may be an issue of incorrect coding in the WEVIS system. So we are working this year to refine that indicator and correct that so that it is a more of a key performance indicator for a county's efforts to maintain and provide certified teachers in every one of those core subjects. Our next chart shows the balanced scorecard indicators of student performance and success. And this reflects the number of counties in each stage of accountability for each one of these indicators. And remember, this is what the students, these are the student outcomes. This is data based on how the students are performing and how successful they are. For ELA achievement, we have 11 districts on watch. For math achievement, we have 17 on watch. We have 10 designated as support, and 7 have reached intensive support status for math achievement. For math progress, we have 10 districts on watch, 6 designated support, and 1 intensive support. For ELA progress, we have 1 district that is on watch for that indicator. Attendance was one of our highlighted indicators from last year that revealed that there was an issue with chronic absenteeism that really needed to be addressed. And you'll see that there has been some progress in that area. We have 22 districts that are on watch. We have 20 that are support for that indicator. And that is not related to attendance rate. It's not your daily attendance rate. That data is representative of the number of students, the percentage of students who are missing more than 10% of the school year. And so, you know, when we look at that data over time, reduction in that number, whereas in most of the achievement indicators, we want to see an increase. But when we look at the number of districts that are either support or on watch for that, it is evident that a lot of the efforts that we've made in that area have paid off. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple of slides. For English learner progress, we have 3 districts on watch and 1 district support. On track to graduation, 8 on watch, 4 support, 1 intensive support. And for post-secondary achievement, we have 2 on watch, 7 support, and none in the intensive support category. So some analysis highlights here as we look at this data and compare it to last year. One of the things that really stands out is that attendance indicator. 91% of our counties that were designated on watch last year showed a reduction in chronic absenteeism in 2024. And so what that means is that they stay on watch because they have indicated that their plan that they implemented as part of that stage has been successful. And they've indicated that through their progress in that area. 100% of counties, all of the counties that were designated support for last year made a reduction in their chronic absenteeism rate and are staying on support. And the reason they're not moving back to on watch or fully approved, even though they've made progress, is that once you are in a designation and you come up with a plan to address the requirements of that designation, you stay there until you partially meet standard for that indicator. And so as long as that improvement is working, we are not going to increase the stage on that. We're going to allow districts time to implement those plans and make improvement with the expectation that yearly they're going to report better data. Lastly, we have no counties that were identified as intensive support for attendance. So we do have, the attention that they have given to the reduction of chronic absenteeism, both through the efforts here at the department and the attendance directors and superintendents in the field. The shift in that mindset has begun to work, and I anticipate that as we implement even more with the attendance works collaboration and some of the Strive model that we're implementing, we're going to see even more improvements next year. For ELA achievement, all of the counties that were designated on watch last year made gains in ELA achievement. 4 counties improved to partially meet standard and are now considered fully approved of those counties that were designated on watch last year. And we have no counties designated as support or intensive support in ELA this year, as far as achievement goes. Next, we have math achievement. 65% of counties that were on watch last year made gains in math achievement this year. 22% of counties designated support last year made gains in math achievement. And we have 7 counties that failed to make progress and are now designated as intensive support. So that's their 3rd consecutive year of not meeting standard and not making progress in math achievement. For math progress, that is the number of students, the percentage of students who improve from one year to the next. We have 33% of counties that were designated on watch last year made improvements this year. And 6 counties are designated support for math progress in 2024. 1 county is designated intensive support for math progress in 2024. I'm very excited today to be able to provide you with a new tool, and I've alluded to this in prior meetings, that my team has worked very tirelessly on for a solid year. And I've asked them to come down. I have Dr. Stacy Merle and I have Angela Erling. Dr. Merle's tenacity is what is to credit for this, because I've told her many times I probably would have given up 6 months ago. The number of times that she has redirected us to no, stay the course. This is good. We can do this. As this learning curve process has unfolded, has just been absolutely invaluable to us, and that her tenacity is the reason why this is happening. We have developed an interactive dashboard that is going to be published on our website that provides all of this information in different ways. You can look at by county, statewide, by indicator. There are lots of different views that are going to be available, and you'll be able to click on a county and instantly look at their performance across all of these areas based on this report. It's interactive, so you don't have to be dependent on our formatting on the paper copy in order to find the information that you need. The first view that I'm showing you here, and this is all sort of a beta version, I would say. It's pretty close to being ready for publishing. We're hoping to roll it out by the end of this month. But those pie charts show the number of counties and the designations for each one of our indicators statewide. And the next screen is an individual county dashboard. And I'll point over here to the lines for each one of these on the gauges indicate what the cut score would have been for partial meet standard. So it can show you how far away they are or how far past that standard they are for each one of those performance levels. And you have all of that county information at your disposal for any county in the state of West Virginia. There's a few more examples of how that might look for different counties. And I've grayed out the county name today, but you'll be able to pull from this menu up here and select a different county to look at how counties are performing across all of the indicators, and to see how far from the standard they are. Here's another view of another county in the state. And any place that you see on the screen, little eye, that's additional information for the user. So you can hover over that and there's an explanation there, because not everyone is as well versed in all of our 22 different accountability measures. They just want to see how their system is doing. And so I think that this is something that is a good visual representation of that's accessible to everyone who has an interest in that data. And then lastly, this is a draft, but something that's very exciting that was born out of this process process is the ability to report trend data over time. Is a district trending up in an area? Are they trending down? Before this, you would have to look at multiple years reports and make that comparison based on the way that the report was formatted, which would be sort of time consuming, and a person would need to be able to find all of that information and compare that information. And now it's going to be right there with the percentage and the approval status reported. And so we are excited to be able to roll that out as well. And that concludes my presentation. Short of any questions from you.
I have one question before we get started, because I'm sure everyone has a comment or a question. And this is fabulous. I just love it. Congratulations for your tenacity.
We're hoping to come back and demonstrate live, maybe during a work session in the future.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. You mentioned issues with coding correctly into the WEBIS system.
Yeah.
I know that affects the certified list in innumerable ways.
Mm-hmm.
Attendance probably is subject to that as well. Have we been working to clean that up?
Absolutely. And there have been changes this year to some attendance codes as a result of legislative action. So I am aware that may be a little bit of an adjustment. But when we're looking at chronic absenteeism, the only codes that are removed from that data are failure of bus to run and required suspensions. And so, the excused, unexcused, the coding day to day doesn't impact that number the way that it would impact, for instance, a lot of the counties will do, if you have so many unexcused absences, then we're going to go through a truancy process. Or if you don't have any unexcused absences, then you're excused from finals. That's going to impact that sort of thing. But our federal reporting guidelines look at just the chronic absenteeism, and that data is not as easily influenced by specific codes or whether or not an absence is excused or unexcused. It's just straight, are the kids there 90% of the time?
Thank you. And I know that probably carries over to personnel absences as well, because we find, in my experience, if there was one way to do it, there were 55 ways to do it.
Yes, and I think that is one of the barriers to be able to fairly and accurately report that data statewide, is that there are different methods for capturing that information at the local level.
Thank you. Any other questions? Sullivan.
Thank you. Wow. This is remarkable.
Wow, that's right.
And I especially like, if you could go back a slide.
Absolutely.
Your marker, because that really highlights where they are, and we weren't able to see that before. There was the gradation, but this really is powerful. So congratulations to you and the team that have worked on this. Just something to consider, and and suggestions. But would it be possible to include, I like things to be seen in context.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be possible to have some little, I don't know, thing that would say the enrollment in the county, the student population, the percentage low SES, the percentage special education, so it would put them in context.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know that each county is unique and they have unique challenges. And that might it's something to consider,
sure.
All right, just to think about. The state required data collection, would that include, we read in the news and we got a report maybe a month or two ago about the lack of submissions for homeschoolers, that they're not turning in the required paperwork, the assessment. And I realize the county can't control that, but is that part of this at all?
It is not currently part of the WEVIS required data collections. We have a calendar that is published for all of the certified data that is expected to be submitted from the counties.
Okay.
And then the data office provides us with a list of counties that are not timely in certifying, or if they are certifying data that is then later found to have errors.
Okay.
So that's where the area of focus is for that particular requirement.
Okay.
But going forward, if there is a way to fairly and accurately report that, then that is certainly information that we would
Okay.
we would
That
include.
you would consider.
Sure.
And not only do you see that the counties are checking off the boxes and getting things turned in time, but I assume that you're also keeping track of the quality of the submissions.
Yes, and each one of our offices work very closely with the counties on these indicators. I know for finance, Uriah Cummings had an email prepared already for each one of the counties that needed assistance to say, this is exactly why, this is the number of points, this is not, because, there's just less room for error, margin of error in those areas. So he was prepared immediately. I know our offices provide ongoing support in those areas throughout the year to try to make sure that the information that is submitted to us is certified to be of good quality and represents best practice.
I'm not surprised to hear that. I just wanted to make sure
Absolutely.
that was happening. Behavior is an indicator in the student side of the equation. And we hear a lot about behavior. I think at almost every meeting we hear something about behavior in the schools. And this behavior is, as I read it, is only for elementary and middle school children.
Yes.
Why is that?
As part of our ESSA plan, there are student success indicators that are required. And so the elementary school has the behavior and attendance, and then high school has on track to graduation and post-secondary achievement, because those are very connected to just that programmatic level. And so that was just the decision that was made when that ESSA plan was approved, that, elementary doesn't necessarily have an on track to graduate data set that we could pull from, or, they're far from post-secondary achievement at that point in time. So we see both of those things as being indicative to support being provided in the schools. If you have kids who are achieving at the post-secondary level and they're coming in and they're getting scheduled correctly in order to get their credits for graduation, then that is indicative of the school providing that support. But that all of this data that's reported as far as the balanced scorecard is very much connected to the federal accountability system and our federal plan.
Okay. So if I'm reading it correctly, no counties had behavior show up.
Right.
As an indicator.
Right. If you look at remember the balanced scorecard that was presented last month, we had lots of blue and green, but we are looking at that indicator. Is it a key performance indicator of a safe and supportive school environment? And certainly we're constantly reevaluating both that ESSA plan and the balanced scorecard to make sure that we are reporting information that is indicative of what's going out in the field.
It just seems that there's a disconnect.
Yes. I can see that.
On the post-secondary achievement, in my notes, I said that the students would take AP tests, or IP exams, or they would complete dual credit courses, or they would get the CTE credentials. All very good. But not all AP students take AP exams. So are those students who took AP tests but not exams, are they disaggregated from your definition?
I would have to double check, but I believe it is students who have earned an A, B, or C in an AP course.
Okay.
But I could also be conflating that with the dual credit course. I would have to double check.
And yes, in my notes, I said ABC and the dual credit, but with the AP, you had to take the exam. So that, as a suggestion, that might be something you look at. I'm concerned about just the solid, good old student who goes to class, high school student, and they get A's, B's, and C's. They have faithful attendance. They don't take any AP tests or exams or any of the other things. They're not in dual credit. They're not in CTE. In my opinion, they're ready for the next step in their lives. But those students, as best I can understand, don't show up anywhere. Is that correct? Am I misreading? I mean, these are just, the kid who goes to school every day. They take English, and they take all the courses.
Well, they would be included in the achievement because then they would have tested as part of the SAT school day. And so they would show up in the achievement. But as far as the post-secondary indicator,
that's where I'm concerned.
Right.
So that, again, that might be, and I don't know how you get to that, but it just seems like we are missing a body of students who do what they're supposed to do. And they're successful at their level. They're reaching their potential, whatever it may be. But they're not showing up in that post-secondary achievement. And again, we want to highlight successes. And my last question has to do, down at the bottom, you have 4 out of 5 charter schools now that are on watch related to ELA and math. Is this after 1 year of data?
This is the first year of data that we have reported to you. There have been some of these schools have been around longer than others. And so we've established this year as the first year of data that we are reporting. So because, going forward, we may have schools that are going to move in and out, but this is our first year of reporting that information to you.
Do you think, they're on your chart, they're included in the support and intensive support columns as not having any indicators.
Right.
Do you think it would be better to leave those columns blank since you don't have 2 and 3 year data? Because it's really in comparison to what we're saying about the counties. You see?
I do.
Again, it's just something to consider.
Sure.
To be as accurate as possible. But thank you all for your excellent work. This is, and it's good to see that there is progress. Much more, of course, needs to be made. But it looks like a lot of our counties are on track. They're moving ahead. They're working hard. So thank you.
As far as mobility from one stage to the next,
yes,
we slowed way down this year. Last year, we had a lot of movement from one stage to the next. This year, we didn't see as much movement, and that means that there was progress in more areas.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Is there a motion to accept the information submitted in the annual report and issue the designated approval statuses to each County Board of Education as indicated in the report as required in West Virginia Code 182E-5 and Policy 2322?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mrs. Sullivan. Is there a second? Second by Dr. Stansberry. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is personnel matters. Do I have a motion to move into executive session? Turn your microphone on. Turn your microphone.
I move that we enter into executive session to discuss personnel and those legal matters stated on the agenda.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion. Thank you, Dr. Snavely. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We enter into executive session at 10:49. No business
down somewhere. I'll put it up here. Are you ready? Start.
Let the record reflect that the board has returned from executive session at 11:07 without taking any action. And now it is my absolute honor and privilege to introduce the governor, Governor Justice, and First Lady Kathy Justice, who have been such strong advocates for our students. They've worked diligently to ensure that they have the resources they need to be successful in the classroom. And the First Lady's unwavering commitment to the Communities in Schools program has been instrumental in ensuring that the program is available now in all 55 counties. Please welcome Governor Justice and First Lady Kathy Justice. And I should say baby dog.
Well, he said for me to go first. I don't know. This may be a mistake. Well, I'll be really short today. I know y'all have had a long morning and everything, but I just want to thank you all. This is such a privilege for me to have been here for going on 8 years, and it's just been just a wonderful, wonderful experience. The Communities in Schools program that you all have so graciously supported and that's still embedded in the Board of Education is in all 55 counties in the state right now. It's thriving and doing just wonderful. It's just so gratifying to go to the schools and see all the children that are involved in this and just see the looks on their faces, just to sit down with them and just talk to them, just see what they have to say, just listen to them. That's what we need to do, is just listen to the children and see what they need. It's been great, and it's just, the really underserved children that are in this program are really benefiting from this. They're getting a lot of courage. They're feeling good about themselves. You know, they feel like they're proud to be who they are. They're proud to be from West Virginia and know that they aren't restricted just to be something like working at McDonald's or something, that they can truly make a really productive citizen out of their life and work at McDonald's too, but just really have some major goals in life to be a teacher, a principal, a beautician, a truck driver, something just to know that they can be a progressive, just a really good person in their life. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that all the children in the program, that we just see them that's doing this, the really underserved children, we are seeing them just becoming really uplifted, just believing in themselves. And that's what we want to do. We want them to be proud. And we see a lot of this in the schools right now, that all the schools, that the children, you know, they just have a better way about them. They just aren't really downtrodden at all, and they're just absolutely happy and believe in themselves. And that's what we want to do. We want them to know that they can be something. We want them to know that we care about them. And so the program was designed with Bill Milliken to know that just if one caring adult cared about a children and they knew this, that's all that they really need, just to motivate them and make them just a better person in life. So that's what we've done. The governor has certainly been a great instrumental part of this program. He's believed in it from the beginning. He's in the schools so much as we are, probably even more, absolutely more than we are. but the program is thriving. It's going well, and the people are so proud of it and want it to continue. And we told them, oh, it's going to, and we just have so many people that are behind this and wanting this to go. And the legislature has done wonderful to support this. Just recently, we got some big money from that, and so we just need a really big boost from everyone, and people want this program to keep going on and be a part of the State Board of Education, in which I know it will be, and all because of you all. Vicki and Jocelyn have just been a wonderful instrumental part of the program. They've just worked so hard on it. They've made hundreds and hundreds of phone calls, and they worked so hard in all kinds of different things. And the program wouldn't be here without your superintendent now, Michelle Blatt. She was with us in the very beginning. Michelle understands the children of West Virginia. She understands their needs. She understands, what it takes to make them successful. She loves these kids just like, they're her own. I mean, she just does. You just have to be around her to know that. And a couple of my good friends that I've gotten to know really good are Deborah. Deborah Sullivan is just wonderful. I mean, she truly, she is just the rock of everything. And I just love her to death. Okay, well, this is kind of sad, and everything, but Jim, do you want to talk now, or do you want to, we have a couple of little videos that we want to. We have two really nice videos too. Okay.
First of all, somebody you left out that is a dear, dear friend of yours and a really dear friend of mine's Paul. I mean, what a superstar you've been, Paul. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You have done a magnificent job in your bigger body, now in your smaller body. And I treasure our friendship, and I thank you so much in every way. You've not only done great stuff for communities and schools, but think about all the great stuff you're doing on the education stuff, and all of y'all. And Baby Dog concurs, Now, let me just say just this. And I hope the media, I hope everyone hears this really clearly. What did I do in the first State of the State address? First one. Now, it's been an incredible honor for Kathy and myself and Baby Dog being your governor. But in the first State of the State address, what did I do? I said, we've got to put a stake in the sand and make education our centerpiece. The first one. And then I said, later on in the same speech, we've got to get at changing our image, because we have too many folks, especially our kids, that don't really believe in themselves. All the stuff that Kathy was saying. Now, Baby Dog is seeing somebody eating. Now, y'all got to understand that in Baby Dog's world, she's perfectly fine in life unless somebody's eating it, and then she expects to eat. Now, let me tell you, and I mean this really sincerely, if you'll go back to that first speech and you'll think, well, just think about it. For God's sakes, a living, we should have changed 50 million things, and really and truly, we did change some things. Settle down. What is wrong with you today? But nevertheless, okay, you got to calm down there, okay? You have got to calm down. But from the first get-go, now, I can't compete with you. Now, you never do this. I don't know what you're doing, but all right, I'm putting you down. Hop down. You get okay, forget it. We'll try it. Okay, just let her wander around what's going on. From the first get-go, just think about this. We got rid of A through F in the grading of our schools. something that I thought was the most craziest thing under the sun. You know, what we're going to do. Now, just think about how you market this. You know, really and truly, what you say is you say, we've got some schools in West Virginia that are A's, and we got some schools that are F's, but we want you to come to West Virginia because we got a ton of schools that are C's. You know, how do you market that? Really and truly, how do you just continually test and test and test and test our kids every third day? And in a lot of situations, we have people that are so concerned about what the test results are going to be that really at the end of the day, we end up say love it or not love it, but teach the test. And so how does that work? So really and truly, we changed a lot of stuff and we did a lot of things to make education better. But I got to say this about Kathy. You know, Kathy's just a kind, sweet, great, great, great person. And really and truly, when it really boils right down to it, communities and schools came into our lives and we saw that there's an opportunity here. And so we start down that path and we don't know how it's going to really end up. We don't know that. But really, when we get right down to the nitty gritty, is there a program that we have in education anywhere that works any better than this? I've never seen it. Now, I don't profess to know them all, but I've never seen it. And I'm in the schools a ton. We should be really proud, really, really proud, because what you're doing is not only are you impacting and changing a child's life, and you are, but oftentimes that child is a deterrent to lots of other children in the school. And so all of a sudden what you've done now is you've really, really changed all kinds of lives. And you have. And if you don't believe it, and I would challenge the media, just do this. Just go to our schools and go to the room where they have supplies for children that, you know, that are having a tough way to go, whether they be food or toothpaste or a jacket or whatever it may be. I mean, just go to our schools and just see what's happening out there and see how much these kids have really grown. Honest to God, I really am a real believer in this. When you touch a kid's life, you really, really have done something profound. So for Kathy, for me, we thank you. We love you for what you do. We appreciate you, and just keep doing it, because sure, we can make it a lot better. And I've said this 10 million times. We can make it a lot better. But all you got to do is go to school. All you got to do is go to a 4th grade class somewhere and just pull them all out in the hall and say, what do you think about Miss Lily? And they're going to say, oh, we love Miss Lily. We love our teacher. We just love her. And then put them back in the classroom, leave somebody with them for 2 minutes, and get Miss Lily out there and say, what do you think about your students? And she's going to say, I love my kids. Guarantee it. And then all you got to do, go downtown in that community. Go downtown and grab somebody on the street and say, what do you think about Cameron Elementary, or whatever it may be? Oh my gosh, we love our school. And if all that be the case, we got to be doing a bunch of good stuff. If we love our kids love our teachers, and our communities love our schools, for God's sakes, a living, we're doing good stuff. Now, sure, it can get better, and we want it to be better. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that are out there in the world, in South LA or whatever, that would give anything in the world to have that right there. It would. Literally. People make so much. People are constantly doing this. Constantly doing this. People are psychoanalyzing. Well, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do this? And lo and behold, then they awaken to all of a sudden the most successes that you can imagine. in the special session or whatever it may be. We are constantly counting the legs, and the legs are always moving, and trying to divide by 4 to determine how many cows are in the field. For God's sakes, living, all we should be doing is count the egg-sucking cows. We know that. And so with all that being said, look, we make this so much harder. Really, be fair. When I walked in the door, we were flat on our back. And look where we are today. And I'm not tooting my horn. It has been an absolute collaboration of all of us pulling the rope together. You should be really proud. I love you with all my soul. I know Kathy does. Baby Dog does, even though I can't understand what's going on with Baby Dog right now. But absolutely, we'll be with you forever. God bless each and every one of you.
Okay, we're going to show 2 short videos. The first one's going to be communities in schools, just from the very basic beginning. Mitch put this together, and thank you, Mitch. You did a nice job. So let's just see this. This is just kind of like just a kind of a real fast trip through the years. All right. Thank you all. Okay. The next one, we have our Friends with Paws program that has been a spinoff of Communities in Schools. And it's just been wonderful. We have 38 dogs placed in schools right now. You just can't imagine the impact that the dogs have had on attendance. The attendance has just come around so much. Behavior issues. One extreme, we've had goodness forbid, everything but deaths in schools that children, the dogs have comforted them and just helped them out in some really sad ways. We've had even extreme things that a little girl was her behavior toward her wasn't very good by a family member, so she had to testify in court. The only way that she could go to court was to take the little therapy dog from school with her. I mean, these are sad situations, but thank goodness the dogs are there. They give them courage. They give them a reason to come to school. They make them feel proud again and give them courage to go ahead and do what they need to do in life. So this is, we're going to show you a little film that we've put together. Jim and Baby Dog put it together for us, and we really appreciate them doing this. Okay, well, thank you all. It's great, and let's keep the program going. Thank you.
And we too want to thank each of you for not only your support of our students, but Governor, as you said, making education your centerpiece, all the funding that you have funneled in, not only to our programs, but to our facilities. And so we just have a little something we would like to present to each of you and thank you for the service to our schools and our students in West Virginia. And then to thought that education is our centerpiece. What better way to display the map of West Virginia than with our various school pictures? Yeah. I think if we could bring the board up, we'll take a photo and then we have a special celebration out in the lobby.
I forgot one thing. Cynthia, I don't know why I didn't forget this, but Cynthia Sorcea is the rock of all this. She is on the ground. She is going to every county in the state. She knows exactly what's going on, and she is just wonderful. Thank you, Cynthia.
You want us to come up behind, or do you want to go into the center? Well, I'll see what Mitch, how he wants to do it. Okay.
Back in session, what an exciting morning we've had. So following along on the agenda, the next thing we need to do is to approve the Board of Education personnel matters. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gabriel, second by Dr. Stansberry. Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the Department of Education personnel matters. Is there a motion to approve the attachment on the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gabriel, seconded by Mr. Hardesty. Is there any discussion or questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the department reports. Superintendent Black.
Yes, we just have a couple of brief, quick updates. First of all, as you know, from 2013, we started a financial watch list, and those were counties that a lot of the information that Mrs. Kreiner shared with you today, those that are looking at their fund balances and things for next year. And so right now, Lewis County is being added to the financial watch list, which basically means that Mr. Cummings and his staff will be working very closely with them and monitoring, supporting, and making sure that they're going to be in the black when they move forward into next year. You also have in your packet some information that I believe it was Dr. Snavely had requested about some alternative certification data. That we've provided that information to you of all the alternative certification pathways. And if you have any questions, once you've had time to look at that, we can follow up with Dr. Tuttle and her staff and get you the answers and things you need on that. The final thing that we have, Margaret Williamson is here with us today, and Margaret Williamson officially on Monday started as our Assistant Superintendent of Federal Programs. Melanie Perky's last day with us was Friday, and we are sad to lose Melanie, but we're glad that we have Margaret to step in and start taking over that work. And she's going to.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Michelle. And yes, Melanie will definitely be missed. So I'm pleased to be here today to share with all of you an update on our West Virginia Strive campaign. As you all know, Strive is a comprehensive and strategic approach that's been adopted by WVDE. Our hope is to better align and utilize our available resources to support, and just a reminder of what Strive stands for, a strengthened behavior response through targeted assistance provided by WVDE and our partner agencies. We hope to encourage regular attendance, support increased achievement, and the tools that will get us there are valid data practices and empowered support teams. So Strive is intended to ensure that teachers and staff have the resources that they need to excel in their absolutely vital roles and to promote student well-being and academic success. Currently, we are working with 4 experienced superintendents, and they are out there in the field having conversations and assisting us with a needs assessment. We actually met with the 4 superintendents yesterday, and the information that they are providing to us is very interesting. It kind of affirms some things that we already knew, but a lot of the conversation already is going back to elementary behavior and the needs that the counties are experiencing there. These superintendents are absolutely a vital connection for us with the field, so we're very excited to have them. In November, in conjunction with those 4 superintendents, WVDE will be hosting some regional meetings in our 4 quadrants, and our county superintendents have been asked to attend the meeting and to bring a team of folks from their central office. So we are looking for them to bring folks who are supporting student needs. So roles such as their special education director, their communities and schools contact, and their attendance directors. So we're going to have those 4 meetings taking place throughout the month of November. In addition, in order to support those effective behavior interventions in our elementary schools, WVDE has named 10 counties that have been awarded grants to implement an MTSS approach to discipline. WVDE staff are currently working very closely with those district and school leaders to implement what we are calling the Elementary Alternative Discipline Pilot. So actually our 2 staff members from the Office of Safety and Tiered Support Systems who are working most closely with us are actually out in some schools today. So the Office of Safety and Tiered Support System, those visits that they are currently conducting are with the leadership in the selected counties with a vision toward developing a network of those 10 schools. So we're very excited about that, having them get to know each other, talk about the things that they are trying. We want to be there for them in providing support and helping them to establish effective programs. So the selected schools and districts will attend a 2-day conference as well this November. The focus of the conference will be on building capacity in classroom management and addressing challenging behaviors. District staff and our partner agency, the Behavioral and Mental Health Technical Assistance Center at Marshall University, they will also be in attendance at the training so that they can support the work in the counties and schools as well. So our vision is that the grantees will have their programs in place by January of 2025. So at this time, do you have any questions? Oh, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot. Yes, these are the counties that we will be supporting. Some of them are implementing programs district-wide, and some of them are actually an individual school. So it really depends on the size of the county or on the school that has the need. So there are 2 in each quadrant.
How did you select the schools?
Yes, it was a application process, and so we had an application that went out statewide, and they were invited to apply, and then we went through a review process here at the department, looking at their plans and what they hope to implement.
And I'm sure you looked at where they were starting from.
Yes.
I mean, if they were up here, they don't need precisely what you're offering.
Absolutely. So there's actually some differentiation in the amounts that were awarded to the counties. The majority of them did not have a program in place already, so they are receiving a larger grant. But we actually had a couple of counties who had a program in place already, so we are offering them a smaller amount of money so that they can support that program, but also hopefully support the other schools as well.
Some of these are alternative settings, not inside the schools, the current schools. Some of these are special programs they're establishing outside.
I believe that they are all actually located in the schools, but I can double check on that, but I'm pretty sure they're located within the schools.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you, Margaret. That concludes my reports, President White.
Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome to your new position.
Thank you.
Know what you got into?
Next on the agenda are board member updates and requests for information. We'll start with Dr. Snavely.
I have none.
I wondered why he wasn't answering me.
I have none.
Well, it's been a busy month. You know, I like to get out and about, and I did participate in the West Virginia Teacher Preparation Standards Committee that I'm on that board. And I also was involved with the Educators Rising board. And that's a great group of folks who are working with high school students who are hoping to become teachers. And I also I did this just yesterday. I read to a kindergarten class here in Kanawha County. It's one of the communities and schools, and I did see the dog walking down the hall. But this is through the West Virginia Public Broadcasting Mountain Readers Become Leaders program, which is something that they are trying to spread throughout the state. Is this the point at which I should make requests for? Okay. We hear quite frequently about issues occurring with homeschool students when they are put in unsafe conditions. And, I think it would be worth our while to look at what requirements we have in policy regarding homeschool students. I know that they're required to test, and Superintendent Blatt, I believe it's 3, 5, 8, and 11. So that's, periodically they have to turn things in unless they receive Hope scholarships, in which I understand they have to turn in assessments annually. We have a problem with getting submissions. I just think that the homeschool issue is one. These are our West Virginia children. So I would ask that we have a deep dive into what's going on with them. It's heartbreaking when you hear news stories as recently as today about ways in which children are not being kept in safe environments. So I would like that. And also, I really appreciate the fact that you were able to separate out the chronically absent students from those who attend, and we saw achievement data. That's great. I was wondering if it's possible, and it may not be, to look at the WEVIS data in terms of students who are taking different math courses, to separate out the Algebra 2 students versus the trig students versus the calculus students, to see how they're doing on the SAT. Because when you look at the content of the SAT, students who are not at least in Algebra 2 are automatically going to perform less well in math than their peers. So I just think, so it's just kind of the next iteration of that disaggregation of data. So just something to think about. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Dr. Stansberry.
Thank you very much. One request for information. I was wondering if we could have a security update next month. That'd be great.
Thank you. Mr. Hardesty.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Dunleavy.
I agree with Deborah's statement about homeschooling. That's something we really should look into. And I know from a couple children in the area that are in homeschooling, and you and I have talked about this several times. They're not being tested at all. And these children are out running around. They're not being educated. And I think it's our responsibility to see if we can do something about that. Other than that, Daniel, Doctor, it's a pleasure serving with you. And thank you for spending your time with us. Enjoyed it.
It's been my pleasure.
Good.
Went to the.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Gabriel.
He always works. Nancy and I both went to the middle college ribbon cutting ceremony in Marion County. It was great. It was a nice thing to see. Let's just hope it makes it the way it should. That's all.
Yes, we enjoyed watching that celebration for sure, and what a great program it is, and we wish it success indeed. I had the opportunity also then to go to a STEAM TAC immersion at Bridgeport Middle School to watch some kids do some coding that was way over my head. But it was quite enjoyable to see that team in action, see how much the kids love getting into that kind of thing. At this time, I would like to recognize a board member who will be completing his term this month and leaving us. Dr. Snavely was appointed by the Board of to the board by the governor in March of 2019 and has been both a wonderful colleague and a staunch advocate for the state's children during this term. Dr. Snavely, your commitment and support for improving West Virginia's public school system as a member of this board will be missed. I've enjoyed serving with you as well and appreciate your service. And at this time, I think Ms. Day has a certificate to present to you.
So President White and Superintendent Blatt, it's been my privilege and pleasure to serve on this board and to hopefully contribute something to public education for our children. That's been a passion of mine, and I really thank the governor for the opportunity to do this. The Superintendent Payne, yourself, Superintendent Birch, former President Perry, Miller Hall. I remember the phone call I got saying, would you be interested? And the first thing I said was, I really don't have the qualifications. And I remember Steve Payne said, well, you're sure you do. You know, you're educated, you've had children through the system, and we need a diverse group of people on the board. And so the friendships I've made have been tremendous, really. It's something I wasn't really counting on. Just thought I would come and serve, and that will be a lifetime. And as I said last meeting, the quality of the people on the board, the quality of the administration, and the Department of Education is just phenomenal. I was really surprised by the level of talent that we have. Not that I didn't know it existed, I just didn't know it existed so densely and robustly in the department. I mean, some impressive people, and I think everyone has the best intentions for the outcome of our students in their heart. We may have different thoughts and different ideas about how we get there, but I think everyone truly has that in their hearts and minds. As I said last month, I really feel like we're putting a product there that's there to be consumed, and it's just not a straightforward way to raise our achievement. And I'm not sure that our achievement testing is the best way to verify our results. I think you see the results every day in every community as students progress. Just the CTE piece here. When I look at the challenges and accomplishments over the time that I've been here, it's been significant. Is that we don't need to go back through, but we've made some good strides, I think, in numeracy and literacy and policy, and had some challenges along the way. And I'll take this time and learn from it, and hopefully benefit others in the future with the knowledge I've gained.
Thank you so much. We will definitely miss you. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be held on November 13th, 2024, here in Charleston. And real quickly before we go to lunch, we're going to do a really brief work session. If you don't mind, Superintendent Blatt, just a couple of things I've asked them to review with us, this policy cycle process and the content standards review. And I think you have some things in your packet as well.
So we have Mr. Joey Wiseman and Dr. Derek Lambert here with us today. A large percentage of our policies are our content standards for the various areas and grade levels we serve. And so we thought it would be nice to have a quick overview of the cycle that these reviews are on, along with the instructional materials review and what that process looks like.
Gonna turn it on. All right. Good morning. You do in your packet have two handouts. One of them is the standards revision timeline. So in the Office of Pre-K-12 Academic Support, we are the ones tasked with revising our content standards for all content pre-K through 12. So when we start this revision process, it is very thoughtful and mindful, and we engage with teachers in the field to make those revisions. So the teachers in West Virginia schools are the ones that are revising and updating the standards as we go through the process. We're there to help and support and to provide some guardrails, but the West Virginia teachers are the ones making those decisions. So the entire revision timeline is about a 2.5-year process where we start with the standards revision. That takes us about a year from beginning the process with the teachers to getting it to you all to review and to put on public comment. And then once we get those comments, we address those comments and bring it back to you all. And as soon as that's done, we go into the second phase of those standards reviews, the review timeline, which is the instructional resources, because we have to provide those instructional resources to the counties for the standards. So we start that in the summer of that next year, and we work again with teachers to set criteria for those instructional resources. And we then put out a bid for those instructional resource companies to apply for us to do a cursory review, which that's when Joey's office kind of takes over and helps us and supports our office with communicating with the vendors. Do you want to?
Yeah, I was just going to say, additionally, keep in mind that when we do those standards reviews, we do have higher ed there as well. So it's not just teachers. We also have higher ed. That's one of the requirements that's put into place. So we do include higher ed folks on all standards review and revisions process. So we have to, speak with them as well. And then the process is kind of the sheet you all have, the kind of adoption cycle, and that's kind of our instructional materials review. Keep in mind legislation changed, although it's still in code 1 through 9 for that section. Number 10 actually gave that permission back to the counties. So the only thing that we are required to do, all vendors must register with us. And so what happened when they took some of that code out, they didn't put the free teachers editions. They didn't put the free, the free PD and all that. So we put that in our signature sheet. So when they register with us, they have to sign that signature sheet. So there they still get free shipping. Now they still get free teachers editions for $25, and they get free professional learning. So the companies have to offer them that. If not, we've stepped in, and in the past, they've had to refund counties monies because, they tried to charge them additional stuff. So I do watch that and monitor that very closely. I work tightly with the vendors. We'll do the caravans where they have everything that they bid out in the spring. And the process kind of goes, just a kind of full cycle. We have one thing going. We've got one set of standards going while we're putting out criteria for one set of instructional materials. But the counties make the final call. However, many counties don't have the ability to do the full review. So we bring teachers from across the state to do what cursory review. I call it a Carfax. Just between us, that's what I call it. It's a little Carfax. We don't score it. We just say, here's what we found. Here's the things we didn't find. And then it's still up to that individual county's committee to review those materials, make that call, make that decision. And so technically that process goes on, and then the contracts no longer become with us. The contract is between the vendor and the county. We just put the parameters of the things they have to give them for free in there. That kind of process, it just recycles, and this is actually in policy. So this is the cycle that's in policy as to how things are adopted, in what order. And right now, this summer, you'll notice we are actually setting the criteria for social studies because those are the last standards you all revised. So we'll be doing caravans for social studies in February.
And pre-K.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes. And yes. The one additional thing that I would like to mention before we see if anybody has any questions, based on our success that Tim Flatley had with bringing the math teachers in during the summer and working with them at Capitol High School and at University High School, really building the capacity within the counties at the teacher level to understand standards and be able to provide professional learning to other teachers in their counties. We've added an additional year to this cycle where with social studies and pre-K, since we have set the criteria and we're getting ready to work on the instructional resources, then this following summer, we will offer all social studies teachers and pre-K teachers an opportunity to come to a school and go through a standards training where we will build capacity now in pre-K and social studies teachers so that our content coordinators here in the office, when a county requests professional learning, we can then work with those expert teachers that we've built capacity in to then allow them to provide that professional learning in their schools and their counties so that we're really building that capacity at the grassroots level. So that was inspiration that we got in our office from Tim Flatley and his work with numeracy last year. So we're excited about that. and hoping that counties can take full advantage of creating those local experts among teachers to help them with their professional learning.
And what I'll add the plus to that for math that we learned is the fact that when you do this, we don't do it based on their instructional materials. So it's not like turn to page 1, turn to page 2, go through the row. We actually want teachers to understand what the standards are. So this summer training actually doesn't deal with the instructional materials. It's actually working just on the standards. Then they'll take what their knowledge of the standards back and utilize whatever their county adopted to actually provide instruction person.
Any questions?
Anybody have any questions for these gentlemen?
Very quickly. Thank you. And I'm glad to hear so much work is being done at the building level as well as the county level to build capacity. That'll make a difference. As you change standards, how and when does that impact the development of test items in the general summative assessment? I would assume as standards change, their items might change.
We try very hard to revise just specific language based on specific reasons to change. I think that if content standards were to change dramatically, then that's when the Office of Assessment would.
Okay. So you're working with them to keep an eye. I'm sure you must be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then SAT, at the high school level, it doesn't matter, because that's just the knowledge they need. But for those 2 grades, for elementary, that want those grades, assessment's always at the table.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Thank you.
I certainly wish funding for instructional materials went along with the adoption cycle as well, because as a treasurer, I always freaked out when it was math, adoption, science adoption, those kinds of things.
And so we tried to make them so you don't have 2 big ones together, if you'll notice that cycle. So we did that on purpose. And, it used to be Step 7A money was set aside specifically for instructional materials, but that's not the case anymore. So it's up to the counties.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. I appreciate your information. With no other business to come before the board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mr. Gabriel, seconded by Mr. Dunleavy. Is there any discussion or questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you very much. We are adjourned. We do have one.